So everyone's asking the same question in 2026. Are Vancouver condos a trap or the best buying opportunity we've seen in years? Because when you look at the headlines, it's high inventory, slow sales, investors, they're exiting. It feels risky for a lot of people. But buyers markets are where you build leverage if you buy the right condo. So what are we talking about in this video? In this video, I'm going to walk you through what the Vancouver condo market is actually doing in 2026, why condos are behaving very differently depending on location and the unit type. And also, I'm going to walk you through how to choose a condo that holds its value and gives you an exit strategy later on. And which condos I personally just want to avoid altogether, even if they look like a deal today. Make sure you watch until the end because I'll show you how most buyers accidentally trap themselves into the wrong condo and how to avoid that completely. So let's waste no time at all. Let's dive right into this video. So let's talk about what the market is actually doing. We came off a year, 2025 was a bit of a reset year. The condo market's oversaturated. So let's just start with the data right off the hop, okay? Because emotion's high, but the numbers, they're very clear. 2025 ended as the lowest year for home sales in over 2 decades in Metro Vancouver, right? So at the same time, the listings, they kept rolling in. We finished the year with over 12,500 active listings, roughly 35% higher than the 10-year average. The condo benchmark prices, they're sitting around 710,000, down 5% year over year. The most important stat here, sales to active listing ratio for condos was around 15%, which puts us solidly into a buyer's market territory. Then you add all the inventory. So buyers have tons of leverage, but, and this is important, not all condos are experiences the same way. Why buying a condo? It's just too broad, right? One of the biggest mistakes I see is people talking about condos, right? Like it's just all one big market. They're absolutely not. A concrete two-bed condo in Mount Pleasant, Vancouver, it's going to behave very differently than a 450 square foot micro one bedroom in a high rental downtown, maybe in Brentwood. So location, layout, and buyer profile matter more in slower markets and not less. In a buyer's market, bad condos don't just slowly recover, they just get left behind altogether. So when I talk location, guys, it matters more than ever. Okay. In strong markets, almost everything goes up, right? But in soft markets, location separates winners and losers. And so here's what I mean. So in condos in areas with true end user demand, okay, it's all about end users right now, and it will be moving forward. Places like Mount Pleasant, Commercial Drive, Kitts, Fairview here in Vancouver, they tend to hold up better because people actually want to be here. They're close to work, transit, parks, school, daily life, restaurants, coffee shops. Contrast that with areas that were built heavily for investors first. When investor demand pulls back, those locations feel it immediately. The key question I always ask buyers, if we're doing a walk, if rent stopped making sense tomorrow, would someone still want to live here long term? If the answer is, well, I don't know, then we move on, we reevaluate our strategy. Because guys, what I want to emphasize here, especially in this video, it's the market has shifted, right? These one bedrooms built for the investor, and if you got one along with a bunch of investors, it's okay because it's just going to keep going out. That demand has disappeared quite a bit, right? It's all about the end users. You want to try to broaden your exit strategy demographic, right? There's only so many people now that want to get into a small one bedroom, even if the price is at a lower point. One bedrooms are still great. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of good one bedrooms, but they have to make sense. It's not just a cookie cutter one. Let's just throw it up. We'll sell it. We'll make a profit. There's still very desirable areas. We're going to get, and also one bedroom condos, but we'll get into this as we move on here. But again, just something to think about. You got to keep that key point in the back of your head when you're going around and looking. So I just touched on, say, the one bed, but let's look at versus the two bed slash three bed condo. This is where exit strategy comes in. This market's changed, and it's going to be like this for a long time. One bedrooms, these are the most sensitive to investor sentiment. When carrying costs rise or rental numbers don't pencil, demand drops, and it drops very quick. That doesn't mean one beds are always bad, like I just mentioned, but they need to be exceptional. So, like the points I'm going to make is great layout, good size, strong location, and reasonable strategies. Otherwise, they're the hardest to sell in slow markets or even a balanced market. Two bedrooms, sweet spot for most buyers. The two beds are going to appeal to more people. Like I said, a broader demographic, couples, roommates, small families, downsizers, move up buyers who maybe aren't ready for that house, but they give you flexibility, and flexibility equals liquidity when it's time to sell. And yourself, you're going to want to move on. Three bedrooms, rare, often overlooked. I've mentioned it before. We need more three bedrooms. There's a demand. I'm not even talking about the appreciation of it, but we're in a state of end user games. You have families, the cost of living, they still need that third bedroom. There is an emphasis to push forward three bedrooms as far as new developments are concerned. It's something we do need here in the city. So again, you're going to see more of a demand as well. So if you're looking to move on from a three bed, even though the price points might be a little higher, it can appeal to a lot of people too, especially families. Let's talk about layout. Let's talk about square footage. So I'll take a well-designed 850 square foot two bed over a poorly laid out 1,000 square foot unit every time. People get too caught up in price per square and the exact square footage. It's thousands, so it's worth more. Things buyers care about when money's tight: separation between bedrooms. I don't want a side-by-side bedroom. Real dining space, storage, and outdoor space. A little bit of usable outdoor space. Open concept looks great on Instagram, but function, it's going to win in resale every single time. Let's talk about cookie cutter versus, character. Another big mistake, assuming newer is always safer. Buildings with hundreds of nearly identical units, especially the micro units, are the first to feel the pressure when inventory rises. Unique units, corner exposures, lofts, heritage buildings can perform really well if buyers understand they're selling to a specific audience later. So, it might take a little more time, but like a Gastown loft, for example, will always have a buyer, but it's a smaller, more lifestyle driven buyer pool. So it could sit on the market a little longer, but you're going to find a buyer. That's not bad. It just requires intention. Here's my advice for 26. If you're shopping for a condo, it's not about calling the bottom perfectly. We might see a little drop still. It's about buying something you're comfortable owning if the market stays flat longer than you might expect. If you buy a strong location, flexible layout, manageable strata fees, and a unit that appeals to multiple buyer types, you give yourself options, and options are everything in real estate. So, closing this all up, if you want help figuring out what type of condo makes sense for you, go ahead, book a call with me. Links are below. QR's on the screen. All my links in the description. We can walk you through what it might look like, especially in 2026. Because I feel like 2025, people were trying to figure it out. If you look at the first half of 25 compared to the second half, the first half of 25 was crazy, right? We didn't know. You had the tariffs. You had interest rates were still high. People waiting for that to come down. Maybe the market will change. And then people start realizing, even on the seller side, that, okay, maybe this is just a market reset. This is the new landscape that we might have to get used to. And of course, we're going to, bring it into 2026. So we're sort of like now settled in a little bit, and people are starting to get more used to what this market is all about. 2026 is still gonna have a lot of good opportunities. There's a lot of inventory out there. If you're a first-time buyer, if you're somebody who maybe isn't a first-time buyer but just looking to get into the condo market, downsizing, whatever the case is, there are a lot of deals out there. But again, don't just go for the deal. Like I said, all the things that I touched on matter, and you have all those options at your disposal right now in this market. So there's no reason to make a bad or a misinformed decision when purchasing a condo in 2026. Guys, I appreciate you making it to the end of the video, and I'll see you guys on the next video.